7 mythical creatures that have haunted deserts for centuries. You've probably seen them in videos. Creatures that seem to stare back, or shadows moving too fast across the empty wilderness. Most people scroll past, whispering, "They're fake." But something about them lingers deep within your mind. Tonight, we uncover the truth behind these eerie desert legends. Let's begin. Number 10. Djinn. To top the list today, we have a being older than humans themselves, the Djinn. In Islamic belief, the Djinn were created long before mankind, from what the Quran describes as smokeless fire. It's even mentioned in chapter 15, verse 27, which says, "And the Djinn we created before from scorching fire." According to tradition, the Djinn live in a world parallel to ours, invisible to us, but fully capable of seeing us. They eat, sleep, marry, and even form their own societies, just like humans. Some are good, some are evil, and others fall somewhere in between. Most desert stories say the Djinn prefer to live far away from people, choosing empty ruins, caves, and the deep sands where no one dares to walk after dark. Scholars suggest that Djinn can live for hundreds, even thousands of years. However, unlike angels, they are mortals and eventually die. Desert travelers have long shared stories of strange lights moving across the dunes and whispers in the wind that seem to call their names. Even today, similar tales continue to appear. On one Reddit thread, a man claimed he once encountered a Djinn known as Abu Fanus. He wrote that the sign of finding it was simple. You'd see lights far away in the desert, in the most isolated areas, blinking like people stuck there asking for help. But the closer you get, the farther those lights move. Even today, many people avoid pouring hot water on the sand at night or whistling after sunset, believing it might disturb the jinns. Number 9. Ghoul. Next on the list, we have a creature that has haunted the deserts of Arabia and North Africa for centuries. The Ghoul. In Arabic, it's called al-Ghoul, a word that comes from the Arabic word gala, meaning to seize or to snatch. And that's exactly what this creature was known for, seizing travelers who dared to cross the desert alone. Ancient Bedouin tribes believed the Ghoul lived among the dunes, waiting for the lost and weary. They said it could take on many shapes, sometimes appearing as a helpless traveler or someone calling out for help. But once you got too close, the disguise would fade, revealing its true face, pale, sunken, and terrifying. In many old Arabic tales, the Ghoul was described as a flesh-eating demon, one that fed on corpses in graveyards. Some believed it to be undead. Others saw it as a type of evil Djinn. Over time, the legend spread so far that the English word ghoul actually came from this very myth, entering Western literature through translations of 1001 Nights. Islamic scholars like Al-Jahiz and Ibn Manzur also wrote about the Ghoul, describing it as a deceptive spirit of the desert. Interestingly, even a discussion thread echoed the same idea, saying, "The Ghoul is supposed to lie in wait at places where men are destined to perish. She entices them there." To this day, stories continue to surface of its presence. Perhaps it's only the desert playing tricks again, or maybe those footsteps you hear aren't your own. Number 8. Pazuzu. You may not realize it, but you've already met Pazuzu. Not in real life, but through one of the most famous horror films ever made, The Exorcist. In that movie, Pazuzu was portrayed as the ultimate force of evil, but long before Hollywood, this name was already feared across ancient Mesopotamia. More than 3,000 years ago, people who lived in what is now Iraq and Syria believed that Pazuzu was the king of the wind demons. He ruled over the hot desert winds that brought drought, famine, and deadly sandstorms. To the ancient Assyrians and Babylonians, those winds were not just natural forces, they were spirits that could destroy crops, spread sickness, and turn life into dust. Archaeologists have also discovered many bronze and clay figures of Pazuzu, some dating back to the 7th century BCE. These statues usually show him as a mix of different creatures with a human body, a lion's head, the wings of an eagle, and a scorpion's tail. His mouth was always open, as if blowing the desert wind. Pregnant women, in particular, wore Pazuzu amulets to protect themselves and their babies from another demon called Lamashtu, who was said to harm newborns. This made Pazuzu a strange figure in mythology. He was seen as a destroyer, but also as a protector against greater evil. Number 7. rock. At number 7, we have a creature that was said to be so large it could block out the sun. It is known as the Rock. The Rock comes from ancient Arabian and Persian legends, and its story spread through the famous collection of tales known as 1001 Nights, or Arabian Nights. In those stories, the Rock was described as a giant bird that lived on remote mountain peaks and vast deserts where no human dared to go. Its wings were said to stretch wider than the sails of a ship, and when it took flight, the wind beneath it could knock a man off his feet. On Reddit, one man excitedly recalled how he and his friends saw what they believed was the Rock, or Rook, a massive bird soaring over them back in the year 2000. According to legend, the Rock was powerful enough to lift an elephant in its talons and carry it high into the sky before dropping it to its death. The medieval explorer Marco Polo wrote about it in the 13th century, saying sailors near Madagascar had seen the Rock's feathers, which were as long as palm trees. He also described how its eggs were as large as water barrels. Number 6. Typhon. Imagine meeting someone with 100 snakes protruding from his head, his eyes burning like fire, and his voice roaring louder than a storm. That is how ancient Greeks described Typhon, the greatest monster in their mythology. According to legend, Typhon was born from Gaia, the earth, and Tartarus, the deep abyss where the Titans were imprisoned. Gaia created him as revenge against Zeus for defeating her children, the Titans. Typhon grew into a giant taller than the mountains, with wings that could cover the sky and flames that poured from his mouth. His arms stretched across the horizon, and every one of his 100 serpent heads hissed with a different voice. When Typhon appeared, even the gods were terrified. Only Zeus stood his ground. Their battle was said to be so violent that it shook the heavens and split the earth. Zeus finally defeated Typhon near Mount Etna, using his thunderbolts to trap him beneath the mountain. The Greeks believed that every time Mount Etna erupted, it was Typhon trying to break free. Number 5. Nasnas. Among the oldest and strangest creatures in Arabian mythology is the Nasnas, a being said to be half of a human and half something much darker. Early Arab scholars described it as having one arm, one leg, and half a head, hopping through the desert with astonishing speed. According to online portals, despite its deformed body, it was said to be deadly, capable of leaping great distances with agility and tearing its victims apart. The Nasnas first appeared in pre-Islamic folklore and was later recorded by the 9th century scholar Al-Jahiz in Kitab al-Hayawan, also known as the Book of Animals. He described it as the offspring of a human and a shik, an early demonic Djinn mentioned in Arab mythology. Medieval sources such as Edward Lane's Arabic-English translation also mention the Nasnas, describing it as a creature missing half of the body and half of the soul. In some versions, it could speak only in broken words, echoing the voices of others like a haunting mimic. Stories say the Nasnas lived in the empty deserts of Hadramaut, Yemen, and Oman, where travelers swore they saw strange shapes moving across the dunes. No evidence of the Nasnas has ever been found. No remains, no documentation. Just stories carried across centuries of desert winds, reminding people that even half a legend can be enough to make you afraid of the dark. Number 4. Ammit. In ancient Egypt, the people believed that death was not the end. It was a journey, and at the end of that journey stood judgment. There, a soul would face a creature feared by all, Ammit, the devourer of the dead. Ammit was described as part lion, part hippopotamus, and part crocodile, the 3 most dangerous animals known to the Egyptians. Her name meant the devourer, and her job was simple: to eat the hearts of the unworthy. In the Hall of Two Truths, the god Anubis would weigh a person's heart against the feather of truth. If the heart was pure and light, the soul was allowed to enter the afterlife. But if it was heavy with sin and lies, Ammit would rise and swallow it whole. To the Egyptians, this was worse than death itself. A person devoured by Ammit was not punished in hell or reborn in another life. Their soul simply ceased to exist, erased forever. It was the ultimate form of justice and fear, reminding people that every choice in life mattered. Ancient tomb paintings and papyrus scrolls show Ammit crouched beside the scales, waiting patiently for her next victim. She was not worshipped, nor was she evil. Egyptians saw her as a necessary force, a guardian of balance who ensured that only the righteous entered the eternal paradise. Number 3. Serpopard. The third in this video is a creature that looks like something straight out of a nightmare. It has the body of a leopard and the long, coiling neck of a serpent. The ancient Egyptians called it the Serpopard. This strange creature first appeared over 5,000 years ago, carved onto temple walls and ceremonial stones. The most famous image of it can be found on the Narmer Palette, one of Egypt's oldest archaeological treasures, dating back to around 3100 BCE. In that carving, two serpopards face each other, their necks intertwined in a looping pattern. Many historians believe this symbolized unity, the merging of Upper and Lower Egypt, or the idea of bringing order to chaos. No ancient texts mention the Serpopard directly, but its image appeared often in art from the early dynasties. Number 2. Aisha Qandisha. The second in this video is one of the most feared and famous spirits in North African folklore, Aisha Qandisha. She is often described as a beautiful woman who appears near rivers, wells, or abandoned places at night, but she is not human. Legends from Morocco say she is a powerful Djinn, known for enchanting men and driving them to madness. Her beauty is said to be overwhelming, yet her legs reveal her true nature. They are the legs of a goat, or sometimes those of a camel. Stories say that once a man looks into her eyes, he becomes possessed, unable to eat, sleep, or think of anything but her. Some say she feeds on obsession and fear. Others believe she is a spirit of vengeance, haunting those who harm women or disrespect the sacred places of the desert. Anthropologists suggest that the name Aisha Qandisha emerged during the Portuguese occupation of Morocco in the 15th and 16th centuries. They think the word Qandisha came from the Portuguese word contessa, meaning countess. Over time, stories of a fearless Moroccan woman who resisted the invaders blended with local folklore and Islamic beliefs about Djinn, giving rise to the legend of Aisha Qandisha, a spirit seen as both beautiful and dangerous. Number 1. Ifrit. We've saved the most terrifying for the end. The Ifrit. A creature born of fire and fear, the Ifrit has haunted both legends and cinema alike. You might have seen its shadow in the Bollywood horror film Pari, 2018, where an ancient cult worships an Ifrit to bring darkness into the world. Turkish horror films like Ifrit, 2019, and Ifrit İçin, 2023, also draw from the same myth, showing it as a fiery djinn that brings madness to those who summon it. In Islamic and Arabic tradition, the Ifrit is described as a powerful class of jinn. The Quran mentions the Ifrit in chapter An-Naml 2739, where a mighty jinn offers to bring the throne of the Queen of Sheba to Prophet Solomon in a blink. Legends say the Ifrit dwells in ruins, volcanic regions, and the deep desert where fire meets sand. It is said to have a human-like form, but burns with inner flames, its eyes glowing like embers. Some tales claim the Ifrit can be summoned by those who know forbidden rituals, though anyone who dares risks losing control, for an Ifrit always turns on the one who commands it. And that's a wrap. If you thought these mythical creatures were wild, wait till you see the ones we already covered, the creatures of the sea, the forest, and the snow. Trust me, those stories will mess with everything you thought you knew.